So you want to buy your first bike? You want something fun, reliable, good-looking, and respectable. Something cheap with just the right amount of power. Something you can ride every day and enjoy it. You don't want to go too small. You want power. Don't get me wrong, an R3, for example, is a very good bike. But if your license doesn't have any restrictions, you can get a bigger bike and keep it for more happy seasons. I've been searching for the best option for months. It wasn't easy. My mind was trapped on a loop. From Honda to Yamaha, from Yamaha to Suzuki, from Suzuki to Kawasaki, and back to another Yamaha again. So let's see what the options are. What can you buy used for $5,000 to $10,000 US? There are two things to keep in mind. First, if we want to save money, then we should buy a used motorcycle, a slightly used motorcycle. Even though 20-year-old bikes have more soul and better performance, we're looking for a bike we can ride daily. We don't want to fix it once a month and refuel it every day. It must be used, but not old. Second, we want it to be reliable and cheap to maintain. Therefore, we need a Japanese bike. So I've made a list. Let's see what we have here. Let's start with the MT-07. Awesome motorcycle, well-known and beloved parallel twin engine. MT stands for Master of Torque, and this bike is very fun to ride. But overall, the build quality isn't too good. This bike is made of plastic, but at the same time, older models are known for having rust.
Ew! Dude! What the f—
You see, the plastic isn't a problem. It gives you freedom. You can customize it and fix it very easily. But it's not a sport bike. For me, it doesn't look as good as any other motorcycle on the list. It's a toy, which is good in its own way. It gives you that old school experience when motorcycles had nothing else but the engine and two wheels. And as for beginner riders, this bike might be a little bit too punchy. Next bike, XSR 700. Everything that has been said above about MT-07 applies here as well. But it's a little bit different, a little bit worse maybe. You see, this is a neo-retro bike, and in my opinion, it doesn't even look any good with that strange plastic tank. And of course, let's not forget an R7. It's a new bike, so it might be difficult to find a used option for a reasonable amount of money. Needless to say, it looks awesome, but its riding position is too aggressive for a daily. Basically, this is a better looking MT-07 with better suspension. Now ask yourself two questions. Should you pay extra for this? Maybe. Should you pay extra for this when for the same amount of money, you can buy a CBR 650R? Probably no. The CBR 650R is a perfect bike. Good power, advanced technology, good quality, an astonishing look, and of course, an inline-4 engine. But do you really need an inline-4? Maybe on the highway, but not in the city. And as for the twisties, imagine dropping a $10,000 inline-4 Honda. If money wasn't an issue, maybe I would buy this bike as a beginner. But I don't see myself pushing it to its limits. Riding a slow bike fast is more fun than riding a fast bike slow. The price of a mistake on a motorcycle is always high, but with an expensive and powerful bike, it's even higher. And of course Honda knows it as well, and that's why they've made a CBR 500R. Two-cylinder engine, good quality, perfect for a daily commute. It doesn't burn gas, it sniffs it. But still, this bike is a little bit expensive for what it is. What's next? It's Suzuki time. The SV650 has a unique engine for its class. It's a V-twin that's been around for ages. Another awesome bike, it's very reliable, more refined than the MT-07, and better looking than the XSR. And of course, in comparison to the MT-07, its engine has a little bit less power on all the way up to 8,000 RPMs. But then, when Yamaha has nothing left, Suzuki kicks in. It's not critical in the city, but on the track, Suzuki is a little bit more fun because you have to rev it more. But there's a problem with Suzuki. You see, all this love you see online for the SV650 goes for the first generation and the second generation. The first two generations were lightweight, powerful and new. Nothing could beat them back in the days. But today, we have more options. So unfortunately, I can't say that an SV650 is the best beginner bike, even though it's cheap and looks very, very good for a naked. Next bike, the GSX 8R. It's a beautiful sport bike, but with a really weird looking tail. It's much more comfortable than the R7, and I'd say it has better quality and better tech as well. Just look at the frame. They put a little bit more love into the 8R frame. But at the same time, they put much more weight in the bike as well. So the R7 is better for the track, and the 8R is better as a daily bike. And if you want to have both, then again, for the same price, you should probably buy a CBR 650R. 8R is the newest model on the list, so finding a used one for sale near you might be impossible. And finally, here comes Kawasaki. The Ninja 650 has a parallel twin engine, and it looks very nice. The Ninja 650 is not as punchy as the MT-07 and not as charismatic as the SV650. As for the weight, it weighs more than the MT-07 and less than the SV650. But it has a full fairing and costs a little bit less than the R7, 8R, or CBR 650, and you can always find a used one easily. The Ninja 650 is somewhere in between. Jack of all trades, master of none. It looks good, it's not too heavy, and no matter if you like it or not, it still has enough power to get you into trouble. Then there's the Z650, which is basically a naked version of a Ninja 650, and the Z650RS, which is a retro version of the Z650. Then there's the Ninja 400 and its newer version, the Ninja 500. They're basically the same, but the Ninja 500 has 52 cc's more. It's way cheaper and a little bit sportier than the Ninja 650. It has the same power as the Honda CBR 500R, but Ninja weighs 23 kilos less than the Honda. It's less expensive than any other bike on this list. So this is the best beginner bike for the money. Of course, it's slower than the SV650 or MT-07, but if you have to ride to work every day, if you want to have fun in the twisties on weekends, or maybe even go for some track A's, you don't really need more power. You want balance. You want it to be forgiving, and you want it to look nice. You want it to be cheap, so you can learn how to ride, and maybe save money on your next bike. You can rev it up to 10,500 RPM. You can do everything with it, except for going off-road, obviously. This bike is so popular for a reason. You can find it anywhere. And this is what makes it perfect. It's always available in every part of the world, used or new. And even if you can't find a Ninja 400 for some reason, you can always find its naked version, Z400. But don't buy a new bike, of course, buy a used one. Don't wait for months or even years to buy a bigger bike. If you don't have a bike yet, get a Ninja. Spend some money on decent gear, and start riding as soon as possible. You can only buy your first bike once in a lifetime. No need to wait, do it.